Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Encrypted Connections. I am still Kyle. This is still Dewey, and we are still both alive. At least I think we are. Dewey, you alive?
I think so. I survived the tornado outbreak today, but yeah, we're good.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's good. That's always a plus, right? You know, anytime you can survive a tornado, that's a good thing. Yeah, the weather's bad, man. It's scary. I was just looking at the radar a little while ago before we went on live, and you're in your state's getting just pounded right now.
Oh yeah.
There's more to come, and then Ohio is getting just spanked, or they're about to get spanked with potential outbreaks of tornadoes. So, you know, for anybody who lives in any of the areas that are getting walloped or about to potentially get walloped, you know, we're praying for you and sending you guys all the positive energy that we can, because
Yes.
it's just scary stuff, man. Scary stuff.
Keep your eyes and ears open. Keep your weather radios on, and prepare to take cover if you need to.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I've been, you know, traveling to different places. There's certain places where it's not very common for houses to have basements, which to me was just the weirdest thing. You guys have basements there?
Yeah, we have them here. I don't have one myself, but yeah, we have a lot of houses with basements. It all depends on the terrain. It's got to be up on a hill, you know, hillside and something like that. But we're off in the bottom, and I'm pretty sure if I had a basement, it'd stay full of water all the time. So
Gotcha.
I have considered putting in one of those prefab storm shelters, and I've been looking at one of those, but I haven't had it put in yet. But
yeah, those things are pretty cool, man. I'd like to build one of those giant bunkers, you know, or buy one of those giant bunkers that the elite have, you know, that the big powerful people who rule this world have, so that you can go live in it for
the big cloud coming over. Yeah, I heard it shake the house when it thundered. We got another front coming through. But yeah, I've been wanting to buy one of those. I call them a Connex. Is it Connex trailer? No, not Connex. What they call?
Yeah, the Connex trailer, the metal one.
Containers. You know, the big metal.
Yeah, that's Connex.
One of the small ones. And then I've got a good hillside I could bury one on. You know, just have one end out of the ground and the rest of it covered. But it takes so much prep, I guess, to keep it from rusting out or whatever. You know, you'd have to smear it down with tar or something like it before you buried it. But
well, I was watching a show on that not too long ago about the engineering aspects of buying a Connex and then putting it in the ground, or you know, like in a hill, essentially.
Yeah.
And one of the things they talked about is that, like, number one, you have to have a lot of rock around it before you even allow before you start putting dirt back in. Like,
right.
It's gotta be surrounded with rock. Otherwise the pressure of the dirt, especially if it gets wet or whatever, can cave it in. but the
Yeah.
rock provides some sort of like buffer so that that doesn't
Right.
happen. I forget what they were putting on those things to keep them from rusting, but it wasn't a major ordeal. It was pretty straightforward, pretty simple.
Yeah, you could take vehicle undercoating, get set up, does vehicle undercoating and spray undercoating on it, which is basically some type of a tar with some kind of fiber in it, but yeah, you could put that fibered roofing compound on it and it would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but what they were doing was way different than that, though. It was almost looked like a spray paint, is what it looked like. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
some thick layer of anything. It was literally like they were just spraying it with like a color, and
right.
it was going on nice and even, and I guess that weatherized it. Whatever. I forgot to fill this up before I got live.
That rhino liner would probably work good too. Probably they put in truck beds. It'd probably work too. I thought about just digging a pretty good size hole and just forming it up and just having a truckload of concrete come out and just, you know, pour it over my form. And then after then turn my form out later on and have a completely concrete one, with rebar in it. But the metal one, I'd always be concerned with lightning striking it.
Yeah, I guess that's something to worry about.
If lightning would get it or not. But I guess as long as you had it grounded good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, the idea of it all. These little underground bunkers and places to kind of go, if shit hits the fan, to kind of bug out
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
live
yeah,
in for a little while. Um, those those giant underground bunkers, like out in the middle of the desert out west, the concrete ones that are like 3 floors, they're just massive. They cost probably a couple $1 million at least,
yeah.
but you can have them fitted with anything you want. They can be as luxurious as you want them to be. And then they have that giant, like nuclear blast door on it that,
Oh yeah,
nothing could get through that thing. I mean, they're just amazing. I mean, obviously, you know, living underground would suck for a long period of time, but I
yeah.
guess
It
it's
would.
like if your option is live underground or come above ground and die a terrible death, well, I'll deal with living underground for a while.
Yeah, back during the the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's hard to say.
The
Uh,
Cuban Missile Crisis, huh?
yeah, Missile Crisis. Yeah. My cousin had one of these fallout shelters put in. Bomb shelter, and a fallout shelter put in his backyard. We went over a couple of times and looked at it. But it's like a round tank in the ground. Kind of like been on a submarine, I guess you think. But
Yeah.
fold down beds on the side and things like that. But that would be neat to have. But if you had time to get to it and climb down into it.
Yeah, the there's so many different kinds now. It's kind of like these alternative means of being able to build yourself safety shelters and or um, just a house. I mean, they use connexes to build houses now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's super cost effective, right? For people who can't afford what this housing market is right now, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's criminal. Um, so for a lot of people who can't afford that stuff, then they have these options like, well, okay, you buy a Connex, it's retrofitted with all your utilities and that stuff, and you just have to have a place to put it, and you can live there for a lot cheaper than buying a traditional home.
oh yeah, yeah.
Even in like I know in China and Japan, and actually there's a city not about 45 minutes west of here that has a couple of them, but China and Japan have quite a few of these apartment buildings that are made out of these connexes that are just stacked on top of each
Oh
other.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty neat. Pretty neat. Anyhow,
They
how's
tried to
everybody
get
doing?
they tried
What's
to
that?
get one under a bridge in Baltimore a while back, didn't they?
Yeah,
When it
it's,
let it kind of extra,
yeah. Yeah, it's what happened. They were trying to get a bunch of them to people before the eclipse so they could bury them in the ground, have a place to go when the world goes upside down. Um, anyway, how's everybody doing? I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I know that some of you are probably in these terrible places where these shitty storms are, and I hope that you are safe and you find shelter and nothing terrible happens um, to your home or anybody else's home that you might know. Just scary, man. Tornadoes are scary. Not just something. Tornadoes was something that, like, when I was a kid, I was terrified. And it was very rare for us, but if we ever got like a tornado warning here, that was it. I was bugging to the basement. I'm out.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm hiding out. I don't want nothing to do with it. It just scared the hell out of me as a kid. The only thing I knew about tornadoes is what you see on like movies. It was
right.
like I saw the Wizard of Oz. I saw a Twister. That was all I
Yeah,
needed
me
to see.
too. We
That
were
was
we were having our senior play practice in April of 1970. And I guess I just told my age, didn't I? But anyway, they we were having practice, and the coach was carried one of the girls home to get her outfit or something, and they happened to look up, and a tornado was headed toward her house, and he tried to stop her, and she jumped out of the car and took off running toward the house.
get
He
the hell
finally
out
got
of
the
here.
car between her and the tornado, and the tornado went through their house, and it got off in this little. They live off kind of a little bottom, and it got off in this creek, and the tail of it came back through and hit their house twice while she was sitting there watching. And
Crazy.
it tore the house all to pieces.
So
And
this is my best friend here in the chat.
oh,
This is the gentleman I was just talking about, the one who works at the prison.
oh, okay.
I went out to lunch with him and his daughter today. It was wonderful. Um, and we had pizza. Surprise, surprise. But he had never eaten at Vincitore, so I wanted him to try it. And surprise, surprise, he loved it. But
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
we were just young bucks, man. I must have been what, 18? You were 17, Brandon, probably. And we were driving to this 18 and over club that was like a few towns away. And we were in his Jeep. There were no top, no doors, right? It was summertime. We just thought we were the coolest thing going. We were going to go to this club and we were going to try to find some cute girls. And on the way to the club, it starts raining, and we had to abort mission. On the way home, there was a tornado that touched down within, like, I don't even know how close it was to us. It was close. But we are driving in this pouring rain in this Jeep with no top, no doors, getting soaking wet. And then we watched a lightning bolt come down, and it struck the ground right in front of the car. Like, I remember it clear as day. Hits the ground, and you could see that big flash, like real bow, just like right in front of your face. It was almost blinding. And then 2 seconds later, it takes out a transformer on one of the poles. That was a crazy night, man. That was a crazy night. We got lost in a place called Hamburg.
Well,
Hamburg.
we lived down a little town called Dyersburg for about a year over in West Tennessee, about as far West Tennessee as you can get. And I was out in the yard one day. I was doing some work. And I thought, let's go down and see what my friend was doing. And the closer we got to his house, the blacker the sky got. In fact, it was actually a real dark purple. We
Yeah.
pulled up at his house, and he was out in the backyard, and I walked up, and then the sky was opening up just almost directly over where he was at. And you could see it was swirling. I said, Rick, we need to get in the house now. So we got in. About that time, I mean, it hit. And it took his boat and blew it across the 3 or 4 neighbors' backyards and wrapped it around the light pole. We were in the house, kind of cowered down in the living room, and actually in the hallway in the living room. And it rained so hard, rain was blowing in through the roof, I guess the roof vents, or through the soffit vents in the house, and water was running down the walls of the house, and it passed directly right in through his front yard. And just luckily, I mean, it knocked all the trees down, and we were way after midnight getting out of there, having to cut the trees out and things like that, to get back onto the main road. But it was a nightmare. I never been scared in my life.
I bet.
It
I'm
was
sure you
terrifying.
were. Um, yeah, man, weather's nuts. Mother Nature's nuts. The things that she could do, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes. Man. Um, I remember Hurricane Gloria when I was a kid in 1985. I was 5 years old. I remember looking out the window, my parents' house, big picture window, right, and looking at the neighbor's yard, and they had this tree in the front yard. And for a while, you just kept watching it do this, just below, bend and bend and bend and bend, and it was almost bending and touching the ground. And then all of a sudden, the wind picks up, and this thing gets literally lifted, ripped, roots and all, out of the ground, and just is tossed down the road. Like as a 5-year-old kid, you're just like in awe, like,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
cow, what is happening right now? And we just got rolled down the road, tossed into a car. It was craziness. And so we had Gloria, then we had Bob, Hurricane Bob. And then we've had we've had a few since then, but Sandy was the bad one up here. Hurricane Sandy was the bad one. That was the one that did the most damage, I think, in this area, bar none, since I've been alive. It did a lot of damage. There were neighborhoods that were beach neighborhoods where you couldn't even drive through them for weeks because the sand, first of all, they flooded, right? They flooded. And then because of that, the tide was so big and it came up so far that it pushed sand from the beach across all the roads. And we're not talking just a little layer. We're talking like feet of sand
Oh,
on
man.
these roads, man. It took out so many beachfront properties, stilt houses and decks and pylons and like all kinds of crazy stuff just was destroyed, man. It was a crazy storm. It was crazy. People were without power for weeks in some places, which is just awful. Just awful. Yeah, we had a microburst when I lived in Montville a few years back. Why is this not working? Stupid thing.
That wind and rain is getting ferocious outside. I can hear it way inside where I'm at.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh boy. Well, be careful. If you have to get off here, you just let me know.
No,
You go
no,
do what you
no.
gotta
As long as
do.
I got power, I'll stay on.
We had a microburst in Montville when I lived out there. Lived in these condos, and it was crazy because I had gone home from work. It was about 3:45, and it was a beautiful sunny day. Within 30 seconds, it went from sunny to just dark. It was like night. It was this weird, like, dark green color the sky looked. It just a weird hardest thing to explain the color, but it was crazy. And it was so dark, and I was like, this ain't like a normal storm. So all of a sudden turns wicked dark real fast, then the wind just picks up like almost in an instant. Then it starts hailing, and we don't get hail often in storms here. So I was like, well, okay, something, this is going to be a bad storm. I get my my happy Irish ass inside, and I hear there's a giant pine tree down at the other end of the building. When I mean big, it was big, dude. It had to be, you won't even be able to see my hands around. It was probably this big around, at least, man. It was a big tree, and it was very tall. And I just start hearing this god awful crack, 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 snap, 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 crack, and then crash. And it took that tree down, and it smashed into the opposite end of where we were. We were at the far end this way, and it was at the far end that way. And it took out the windows on the top floor of that condo. And you could go outside, and you could follow the path perfectly from where it started to where it ended. It went on in a diagonal, and it started across the street from where the condos were. You could see it went right through their yard. It took out their mailbox, It came across the street, took that tree out, went through the back of the condo complex, took a shed out, went through the back of 2 people's yards, took their shed out, took a pool cover off, and then a couple trees and limbs were down. Then it crossed the road, did a little damage, and then it was gone. But you could follow the path. I mean, just perfectly. It was crazy. It was the first time I'd ever seen anything like it. So I was really intrigued by it. I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
This is nuts. If this was a criminal act, you would have left the most evidence ever. They would have known where you came in and where you left out of. But yeah, crazy stuff, man. Went from literally starting to sprinkle the hurricane tornado conditions in 2 minutes. Yeah, it happens that fast.
Yeah.
Green sky is bad stuff. It's the only time I've ever seen that green sky, and I'll tell you what, it was not a fun feeling looking at it. I knew looking at it, I was like, this is going to be a bad storm. I could just tell. But anyhow, so this past weekend, I decided to take my spirit box and go out to this place in Rhode Island, and it's an old settlement. There was an old factory there where people worked. There was an old mill, and the only thing I knew about it, because all I did was Google, haunted places near me, Eastern Connecticut, and got a list of places. Now, most of those places you can't just go to because they're indoors, they're buildings. So you have to try to make plans, call somebody. So I was like, well, is there any place outside that I could just go on a whim? And this was one of 2 places. And so I read, it said, okay, the state deemed it haunted back in the 1800s. And then the people they couldn't keep people working there. People would just leave. They just quit in the middle of the day. They walk out. And not just by one person. It would happen like in handfuls. People were just like, this is crazy, all the stuff that's happening here. We're out of here. Got to the point where the place just went under, and they tore it down. And then, it was a long time ago. So Mother Nature takes things back very, very fast. So it was hard to find the exact location, but I did find some markers, like the stone walls, and then that weird fireplace looking thing. When I was out there, the first area I was in, I was asking questions, and I was getting responses. They were clear responses. People who were there in the live were hearing them too, and so that was interesting, right? And the responses were to the questions, which was really cool.
Yeah.
When I left the first spot, I went to the fireplace. I kept hearing. And it made no sense because to me, it wasn't a word, but I heard it clearly 3 times, and it was the same voice, and it kept saying what sounded like Peleg. And I'm like, what the heck is that? What is a Peleg? I'm like, in my mind going, peg leg? What are they trying to tell me? So you got a wooden leg? What's going on here? So I kind of just brushed it off. When I came home, we had gotten the name Christine. We had got, oh my gosh, now I can't think of who the other female name was. Was anybody there listening that day in this chat? What was that female name? Because she said it over and over. Anyway, Christine, and there was this other.
It, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. Damn it. No, Constance was the first one. The second one, she said her name 3 times very clearly. It wasn't Renee. It was crap. Anyway, whatever. And then there was Bill. So when I came home, I did a little digging, and I was looking some stuff up to see if I can match any names up to people who died there, who historically were a part of that. No, it wasn't that Shakita. Her name was Shakira Flabbergasted. If anybody's ever seen that wretched video on YouTube, please tell me in the comments if you've ever seen the video of Shakira Flabbergasted. I will have to play that video on the new channel. It's just it's ridiculous. Anyway, so I came home, was doing some digging, and one of the first things I found was William Foster, Bill, as he was called, was one of the people who owned that property. And so I'm like, okay, Bill. Maybe it's Bill Foster, right? The family who owned that property at one point. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't find any Christine. I found Peleg Walker. Peleg Walker was the gentleman who owned the factory and was murdered there.
Wow.
The other thing that I heard when I heard that Peleg, and it took me like the first time I heard it and it didn't register. It was the second time I heard it that I could kind of tell what it sounded like, but it still didn't make any sense. But it said Peleg accident. That's what it sounded like to me. And I'm like, what the hell? But so then I come home and find out that this guy, Peleg Walker, owned that factory and was murdered there. So I don't know the accident part, what that means, but I was like, I got chills, man. I got chills. I was like,
Oh yeah.
holy cow. Because you're out there and you're going like, I know this thing is meant to sweep so fast that there's no possible way that any full word can be said. But you still kind of, at least me, because I'm a believer, but I'm a skeptic also,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
You have to be. Yeah.
super, you have to be. I'm super objective. So there's a part of me that's going this whole time, I'm going, this is really cool and interesting, but is it possible that this is all just a coincidence, right? And then when you come home and you find that, like that just solidified that, like, okay, there was definitely communication there. Not to mention the fact that I heard my name crystal clear twice. I heard Kyle twice. Now that was a little unnerving,
Yes,
right?
it does unnerve you. Yes, it does.
It is unnerving because now it's personalized. Who they are, know your name, and they're saying it to you from wherever they are, which is like, holy shit. Like this things just got real.
Yeah.
Stupid me, because it was all kind of on a whim and I just do, I do these things and I sometimes don't think. I had my recorder with me and I didn't record any of it. Stupid. Just a numbskull move. Total numbskull. But I do have the video, obviously, that we can go back and listen to. The problem is that, it's not as clear as having a recorder to be able to go through, run through a program, scrub out some of the, the excess noise. And the next thing that I'm going to order is that the noise buffer that you connect to your spirit box, and it you can adjust the background noise level so you don't get a lot of that skipping and then the crackling. You don't get a lot of that. You just are getting more of the vocals.
Right.
So
Which spirit
yeah,
box do you have?
I just got the 7.
SB7?
Yep, I just got the 7. I was gonna get the 11, and
That one?
yep, that's the one.
I've heard
Yep,
some bad things about the 11. The sweep rate is not as fast as the 7. I've heard
that's
a
why
few other
I
things
didn't.
about them. So,
That's why I didn't get it, because I was doing my research and people said the sweep rate wasn't as fast, and they were selling it for much, much more.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I think next this SB7 Pro is the one that I'll get, because the reviews on that are pretty good.
yeah. The SB7T has a temperature sensor built in too. It
Yeah.
notifies you of any temperature changes, so it works out pretty good too.
Yep. Yep. I
If I'm
mean,
doing a home investigation, I'll plug mine into a recorder, and you can wear
eh,
headphones and record at the same time with it if you want to.
right, right.
Because you couldn't do it on a live stream. I mean, people couldn't hear what was going on. But as far as a home investigation, it works good for that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, you know, my plan is moving forward. I'm going to be doing a lot more paranormal stuff. I said I wouldn't do it, and what happens is you get to a point where you feel creatively stifled. You get bored, and it's like, not that I don't love going to the places that I go to do the bigfooting thing around here, but you go so much, you just go, I need a break. I need to do something else and go somewhere else. Um, and being alone, um, it's hard to do a lot like night stuff. I won't
Right.
do
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
just not smart. It's not
It's
smart.
not, right. It's really not.
I'm sorry. I love this stuff, and I want to bring I want to bring content as much as anybody wants to watch it because I love being out in the field. I love it. It's where I belong, and then I love the ability to come back, take what you get, and then create something from it. But it's none of it is worth risking your health, your safety, your life. It's just not worth it.
Right.
So
Right.
going out alone at night, not going to happen. Um, I mean, most likely not. Uh, and so, but the paranormal stuff, it's a little bit safer. You're not really in
Yeah.
real
It is. Yeah.
danger. You're not in any real danger. If I can get access to a place inside, like I'm trying to get access to this library in Groton. It's haunted. It's old. Um, I could do that alone because it's
Yeah.
like you don't have any. You're not worried about animals. You're not worried about people. It's just you.
Right.
You're inside.
You
No
set up a
weather.
stationary. You're in just exactly. No
Yeah.
weather to fool with. Set
Yeah.
up inside, and you know.
Yep. Um, that absolutely. That's a possibility. Matter of fact, that place that I was in is not very far from the place that I do a lot of my research in, right over the Mass border. It's only like a few miles from there, so it was possible. And I found two really strange impressions out there. I don't know if you guys watched that. Two very
Yeah.
strange. They were big. They were wide. They were deep, and they were bigger than my foot. And I wear a size 14, so um, and one of them was exponentially bigger, at least 4 inches bigger. I mean, that's a big ass foot. It's a big ass foot. So
Yeah.
who knows? It's very possible. Um, but so I'm going to do more of that. I'm also going to do more UFO stuff. I've been looking into a
Yeah.
lot of UFO reports from around the area. One of the things that we have here, or a couple of things we have here that I think may be potential attractants, is we have a nuclear power plant.
Mm-hmm.
We have a naval base with nuclear submarines, right? And obviously, we have the water, the ocean, which seems to be a place that these things are attracted to for whatever reason. Maybe they're coming from the water. I don't know. But just looking over a lot of the sightings here over the last 2 years, they've gone up a lot, and I didn't realize it, a lot. So I'm gonna try some potentially crazy stuff. I was talking to Joe the other day about CE5. I don't know if you guys are familiar with CE5. You know what that is, do?
A little bit, not much, but I've never done it. But
So did I watch Dogman Encounters a few weeks ago? It was a guy who had a dogman sighting in Northwest Connecticut, some mountain. I forgot the name. No, what was that on? Shade. I'm going to name a couple mountains. You tell me if any of them um, sound like they that you remember. Bear Mountain, Mount Washington. Oh crap, what's the other one up there? Mount Frisell. Um, Mount Thistle, Bear Mountain, Round Mountain, Gridley Mountain, Bald Peak. Bear Mountain. Okay, so check this out. You ready? The movie that I made called The Corner from a few months back, we were at Bear Mountain that day and that night. And that area we are going back to. It's one of the plans is to go back there. Me and Lucci are trying to do a long-term study of that area, like over the course of a year or more. And so we've had plans, we're talking about it, when we're going to do it. So that's one of the places we're going to go back to. I'll tell you right now, it is a creepy area. It's a very creepy area. It's hard to explain why, but when you get there, it's just this weird feeling that you get once you kind of pass the last houses on the dirt road that leads back to the trails to Bear Mountain. It's like all of a sudden a switch flips and the change happens and it just feels different. It's super thick back there, man. I mean, just dense. Even in the winter, we couldn't see through a lot of it. I mean, it was that dense that, no leaves on the trees. So in the summer, imagine what it looks like there. It sounded severely troubled, like it affected him badly. What was the show? I'm curious what the show was. I want to watch it. That's the first Dogman sighting I have ever heard in Connecticut. But I listen, here's the deal. If it was going to happen somewhere, it would be that northwest corner. It would be that northwest corner. You are the Taconic Ridges out there. It's always on Vic's show. Okay, I'll check it out. The Taconic Ridges out there, you're right on the border of New York State, right on the border of Massachusetts. You have the Berkshires. Obviously, that northwest corner of Connecticut is known for all the wildman sightings. It's the epicenter of Sasquatch, wildman, Bigfoot sightings in Connecticut. Always has been. There are like a lot of Native American history in some of those areas and those mountains out there. So, with any of that stuff, you can have some strange things go on. So it's an area that we are very interested in. We're going to be doing some ongoing stuff, going back a few times a year, putting out game cameras and recorders and all kinds of other stuff. So that's one place. But what I was saying before is CE5. So CE5 essentially is this. Joe makes it sound really bad, but I guess it's essentially he hits the nail on the head. I guess essentially what it is conjuring, but you're not talking to any kind of spirit. You're trying to have an interaction with an extraterrestrial or terrestrials by doing these meditations and playing these sounds and just a bunch of stuff that you do to try to initiate this contact. It's been done for a long time, but there were groups of people who would go for these courses years ago in the desert with people who worked for, at one point, the people who had previously worked for places like NASA or the government, and they ran these things, these courses, these trials, essentially. One of the things that people would talk about is that when they would go and they would do these meditations, that they would get to this point where they felt the presence of consciousness in a way that they've never felt it before in their life.
Hmm.
It was this palpable, overwhelming feeling that there was other consciousness there with them, even if they couldn't see them, and they knew that they were around. Strange enough, when they were doing these things, weird things would happen with the wildlife. Jackrabbits, I don't know if you know much about jackrabbits, but jackrabbits are not family friendly. They don't want anything to do with humans. They're very skittish animals. Anybody who lives where jackrabbits live in the desert or whatever, they'll tell you that, you ain't getting near one. Well, during these sessions, these jackrabbits would come in the middle of the session. They would sit right under people's chairs, for God's sakes. I mean, that's not normal, right? So there was something going on. And then they would have these other things happen. You can look it up. It's weird stuff, but it's like you just get to a point, man, where you just get bored. It's like gets stale. You want to shake it up a bit and try something new. I'm just too curious for my own good, you know. I'm stupid. What it comes down to. That's the bottom line.
Have you got a REM pod?
I do not, but I'll definitely get one.
Well, don't buy one. I'll build you one. So
Oh, really?
it may take me a month or so, whatever, get everything together. But yeah, don't buy one. I'll build you one.
We need to talk about that EMF pump.
Yeah.
I need one of them. That's what I need.
If you're going to be using it, like I said, inside, like you said, a building or something like that, or even outside, this here puts out about all the EMF you need.
Really?
It puts out more than the pump that I built, actually. And you actually plug another power cord into it and run it off 12 volt. So you can run it off a 12 volt battery. You can plug it in the wall and run it, or you can. I've got a little charger pack I made up with ammo cans with battery in it, with cigarette lighter plugs in it. You can just plug them in, to charge.
Well, that's what I need.
That'll work good for that.
That's what I need. Then maybe I'll just buy a couple of those. Screw it. Actually, matter of fact, you know what I was looking at? I was looking at a mini Tesla coil, about the size of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was seeing people play with these Tesla coils on YouTube, and the guy was testing it, reading the EMF that it was putting out, and it was pinning that thing, bro. I mean, it was just
basically it's what that is, a Tesla coil, but it's got a gas in it, that gives off the plasma, but
right, gives it color and all that stuff. Yeah. But the open ones I was looking at, and the guy was, reading it, and it was just pinning that thing. I mean, it was pinning it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Plus, the cool thing about those two is that you got the light that potentially could attract something also.
Tell you something else that's pretty neat too is you see it not, they sell these at Harbor Freight for like $9.95 each. It's a motion light, and you can have them whether they're on a continuous or automatic. And that the battery's dead in that probably, but there it goes. But if you're in a cemetery and you've got 4 or 5 of these, you can set them up on top of the tombstones.
Yep.
And then you can tell if something is coming toward you or going away from you as these lights get on, So if you see one at the far end come on, then the next one to it coming toward you, whatever it is coming your direction,
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that these guys make,
if it's dark, you have to beat a hasty retreat out. It'll kind of give you light to get out of there too.
Right. A lot of the stuff that these guys make, these ghost shops online.
Oh, yeah.
It's stuff that's like, it's rudimentary stuff, and they just upcharge the shit out of it.
Oh yeah. I saw a video the other day where a guy bought something. It may have been a REM pod and took it apart and it was nothing but just hot glue all inside. Everything was just all hot glued together, and it looked terrible inside. So and he paid way up there for this thing, and he just put together crappy.
Joe was telling me about these REM pods and how they build them. They use these. What are they called? It's a kid's toy.
Yeah, Junior Theremin.
Theremin. Yeah, Theremin. Yeah,
Right there.
that's it right there.
They're
Yeah.
$18 on Amazon.
Not no more.
Why?
I was on last night trying to look them up.
Last week for $18.
What? I was looking last night. The cheapest I could find was $37.
Really?
Yeah. And Joe's thought process about that all was that, once people start finding out that these things are what people make them out of, then they're like, well, screw this. I'm not paying $140 for a REM pod, when I can just make one out of this thing for, $14 or whatever the hell it's going to cost you. It was the same. I was telling him too about the old Panasonic tapeless DR60 recorders from the friggin' 80s.
Yeah.
So this is crazy, right? So when those came out in the 80s, they don't require tape, and what they have is they have a feature where as soon as it hears a voice, it turns on and starts recording on its own. Okay. Now, when people started buying them, they were returning them in droves because everybody was saying, I'm recording myself, but I'm hearing all these other fucking voices that aren't mine. Something's wrong with this thing. Nobody ever thought back then about EVPs.
Right.
Some ghost hunter heard this and was like, holy shit, there might be something to this. Buys one of these things offline, takes it with him into the field, and has the best EVP session he's ever had in his life. I mean, like, bar none. And then when people started hearing about it, these things got, they started selling like hotcakes. Now, the average price for one of them, $2,500 to $3,500.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So, thank you, Shade. Appreciate you, man. I knew this was going to be a really slow night. I knew it was going to be a slow night. Joe and Jesse uploaded their video tonight, and he texted me. Jesse texted me last night. She was like, what time are you going live tomorrow? I said 7. Why? She said, well, we'll push the video till 8. And I was like, you don't have to push the video. Like, what?
Yeah, we
don't give a shit. Just do your thing, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. She said, well, I don't want to cross streams. And I said,
cross the streams.
I go, it'd be my pleasure to cross streams with Joe Doyle.
Have you got a K2 meter?
I did. I do not anymore.
They work great too.
Yeah, I don't have one anymore. I have a tri-field.
Yeah.
But I do not have a K2 anymore. My K2 broke. Same with those old tri-fields. The old tri-fields with the needle, not the digital ones. Those things just they doubled and tripled in price. People want those.
Yeah. That's why I went with the digital.
Yep. You can find there's one. It's like a clearish, like a milky white case. It's got an orange button and an orange top, and it still has a needle. And the top has a light underneath it. So that's the only one I've been able to find that still has a needle that is reasonably priced. When I say reasonably priced, I mean like $30 to $40.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. This stuff gets popular and then prices just go through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, back before I got my spirit box, we were in an investigation at this house, and we knew the guy. We didn't know the guy. We knew the guy's name that lived there before. Him and his wife both passed away there at the house. And we were I got some good EVPs, and I asked him what his name was, and he told me his name. And I asked him how old he was, and he said he was 83. So he's buried, probably a couple of miles up the road in a little cemetery. So I went up there, and sure enough, verified his name, and he was 83 years old when he died, and we just, a lot of it was wild.
That's where it's like the payoff is so cool when you can go back and verify something.
Yeah.
That's one of the other things, like, I never know what's a better idea to do. Like, do you go into a place with a lot of research and knowing all the history about the people who were there, who died there, what happened there? Or do you go in with just the basics, right? The place is haunted. It's been here for a long time, whatever. Don't look for names, and then just go in and see what you get. And then after, go back and see if any of it lines up.
Right, right.
Because sometimes if you go in and you have the information, I think, subconsciously, it can lead you to hearing things that maybe aren't there. I'm not saying it
Right, right.
happens all the time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it may be a more honest way to go about it. Like, don't tell me shit. I'm gonna look up a place to go. We'll go there, and I want to know as little as possible. We'll ask questions. Who's here? What's your name? How old are you? How'd you die? And then
Mhm.
take whatever you get from there. When you're done, go back and see if it lines up with any of the
Right,
history.
right.
And that right there, at that point, it's like, who can who can say, okay, well, this is all fake. Oh man, thank you, Shade. I appreciate you very much, man. Yes, every little bit does help. Yes, it absolutely does. Yep. Yeah. Matter of fact, so for anybody who's still here, we have plans to go. I have plans with Alex, Mike Lucci, RPG at the end of the summer. Will be here. And we are going to get together and do something. Hopefully, it's going to be something really, really cool. I am trying to get us access to Norwich State Hospital.
Oh, there you go.
It's considered one of the most haunted places in America. It has been for a very long time. It's almost all gone. There's only a few buildings left. There's been a couple very large YouTube paranormal groups that have been through there in the last few months. The lady who's the caretaker, it's only 15 minutes up the road from me. And I went there when I was in my 20s, and I ran out like the dog with his tail tucked. It was one of the scariest nights of my entire life. But I've always wanted to go back in with a group of people and then having more knowledge about this paranormal stuff. Back then,
Right.
I didn't know anything. I just was like looking for an adrenaline rush. That's why we went. But so that's one of the places. One of the other places I'm trying to go is we're trying to rent at least 2 or 3 rooms in a place called Captain Grant's Inn. Now, there was a show on Netflix where people stayed at what was considered some of the most haunted places in America for 30 days straight, and they filmed all their activity there. This was like a couple years ago. It was during the pandemic when it came out, I believe. And Captain Grant's is one of the places they went. This place is not very far from here, not like super far from here. So that place is a place we want to go do a couple night investigations, staying there and having access to the whole, the place. Lizzie Borden, we're trying to do same thing. Rent a couple rooms, stay there, make sure it's just us that are, have access to the top half of the house for the night, and do a full night investigation there. Salem, Massachusetts, where the witch trials were. We're trying to go there and do something. We're trying to go to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, upstate New York. So all these places are things that we have on the table to try to do. So if anybody out there has $1, $2, $3, whatever, to donate to the cause, it's always appreciated, because I'm a regular guy, man. I'm just a regular dude. And, all this stuff adds up, spending money on recorders and computers and microphones and thermals. It's just a lot of money, man. And then you talk about wear and tear on the car and the travel and all
Yeah,
that stuff,
yeah,
and having to stay places when you go away from your home, and it just adds up. So if anybody ever felt it in their heart to donate a little bit, there's links in the description of the video. It's always greatly appreciated. I want to do it obviously because I want to bring people content that they're going to enjoy. I mean, obviously the show is a show, and I enjoy the show, but we all know what people want to watch. They want to watch
yeah.
the field stuff. That's that's where the payoff is. So anyway, that was my spiel.
It was kind of funny you brought that up. I'm doing the same thing. I'm backing away from the dog man and Bigfoot and all that stuff. I'm gonna stay with what I know the most is the UFOs and the ghost hunting right now. I may get back into Bigfoot or something later on, but right now I'm just I don't know. There's nowhere to really go around here to do to do any Bigfoot investigations. Hillbilly is just oversaturated. It's too many people going there and appearing on camera wearing weapons and things like that. And they've got the park rangers kind of watching everybody, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna stay away from that for a while and just stay local and see what I can find.
I get it. I totally get it. I'm in the same boat. I don't have a lot of places to go here to do the Bigfooting. It's very hit or miss. And again, it's like, doing the night stuff out in the woods alone, just dangerous, man.
Yeah,
It's dangerous. And you can get stuff during the day. I've gotten stuff during the day, but the nighttime's the right time. Plus, it's more exciting. It's just more exciting to watch, period. When it's dark out, it's spooky. That's just the way it works. So I get it, man. I think it's easier to go places that are haunted, that have a history of it, and to get activity.
yeah,
Plain and simple, right? It's tried and true. People do it all the time. So I agree. I get it, man. And plus, I think uh, the more that I watch a lot of this stuff, the more that I talk to people like Joe and Jesse, I think a lot of the stuff that people assume is Bigfoot activity may just be paranormal shit.
yeah, yeah. Or it's a coyote in the distance, or
I mean, like even the stuff where it's like people are getting stuff thrown at them.
yeah,
Joe said it the other day. He's like, if that happened in your house, you'd be calling an exorcist. But if
yeah,
you're in the woods, you go, oh, it's Bigfoot. You
yeah,
know? Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to the towpath in Uxbridge for the eclipse of Riverbend Farm Trails. That's where I saw an orb, got roared at, saw UFO. I actually am trying to go out during the eclipse. How far is that? Uxbridge. That's not that far from Douglas. What is that, like 15 minutes away from Douglas? What time are you trying to go out there? I do think that that any of this weird lunar activity stirs shit up too.
yeah, yeah,
There's a big correlation between cryptid sightings, UFO sightings, paranormal activity being ramped up, and lunar phases. Blood moon, blue moon, new moon. Yeah, okay. I thought it was about 15 minutes away. What time are you trying to do that at, buddy? I mean, it's going to be dark all day, so it doesn't matter. You ain't got to wait till the nighttime. We're in 92% totality here, so we got a really good, this is if the whole world doesn't come crashing down like people keep saying,
oh yeah,
oh, it's crossing over 8 towns called Nineveh, and then one
yeah,
town called Jonah. God
yeah.
is going to smite the world and kill everybody.
7 cities called Salem, and it's going to
Yeah.
intersect with a city named Rapture. I mean,
Here's the deal, right? All that is too. That's all fear mongering in its own
oh
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
these people who claim to be, you know, quote unquote, good Christians, right? And they go around telling you, you know, oh, it's the rapture. That's it. The world's going to end, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to scare people into doing what they want them to do. Like, if you haven't become a good Christian by the eclipse, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Because God's coming here to smite you all.
It plainly says in the Bible, no man knows the time or the date, you know.
Bingo.
So,
Thank you. I've been saying this for weeks. Like, nobody knows. You're talking about the creator of the universe.
Yeah.
Right? Who are you? Who the hell are you? We're talking about the creator of the universe versus Joe Mo or Karen, you know, ass pants. Who is she? How does she know? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You know, April's it's kind of weird anyway. Of course, it starts off with your birthday and then it goes into mine. And did you know, starting at the 20th, April the 20th, there's what they call the April palindrome.
What the hell's that?
20th to the 29th is a palindrome every 10 days in a row. You got 420, 24, running and split back the other way. It's still the same thing, 420, 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
10 days in a row. You know?
Wow, that's crazy.
It is. It really is. Goes to the 20th, the 29th.
That's crazy.
I thought that was odd.
That is weird. Huh. Interesting. I mean, you know, listening to a lot of these people talk about this stuff, there are some interesting coincidences. I'll give them that. You know, the Jonah thing, the Nineveh thing, the fact that God said the only sign you'll have is a sign of Jonah, and there was an eclipse when Jonah was wherever back then when all that happened. You have the fact that the last three eclipses created the Hebrew letters for Alpha and Omega across, you know, on the country, which is strange. And then April 8th is some special day in religious speak. I forget the name of the day, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was listening to a preacher the other day. He was talking about it, talking about, you know, Jonah and the whale. So, you know, Jonah spent 3 days in the belly of the whale, and the whale's stomach acid eat all of his clothes off. The acid actually bleached Jonah pure white. The whale gets up close to the shore or whatever, and it spits him out. You know, and imagine somebody standing there watching. All of a sudden, this whale comes up and pukes out this white guy. You know, had to be kind of upsetting. You know.
Oh God. Well, you know what they say, right? Black people say white people don't know how to season their food, so white people probably taste like shit. Whales like, ugh! Learn how to season your food, bro. Oh, that's funny. I was gonna get back with the clouds passed over east of Columbus getting altered. Oh boy.
No, I'm fixing to order me a microchip copier that I can actually burn and write microchips.
What?
There's 2 special chips in this theremin. One of them plays the music, and one of them does. I've got the other one does anyway. It sets the switches or whatever. But I'm gonna I can buy them for just pennies a piece. You know, I'm gonna buy some of those and reprogram them. And that's probably the most expensive part of the theremin is the chips. You know, so if I can copy the program, and I can buy them for, you know, pennies on the dollar. You know, so I'll do it that way.
Interesting.
Do you use any dowsing rods?
I don't even have any.
Have you ever used any?
I have, yeah, in the past. Yes.
They'll work with some people. They don't work with.
No, they work great. Yeah, they
Yeah,
work
they don't
great.
work with
I meant to order them too, but I don't know. I just for whatever reason I keep flaking on it.
That's the
Keep
thing.
forgetting.
Coat hangers will work just as good as anything, but copper wire, number 10 copper wire works great too. So, about 3 feet long
Yeah, I
and
mean,
nailed in the handle.
they're like $14 on Amazon. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, no big deal. Yeah, no, they work good. I've used the pendulum before in the past too. Over a yes no board.
That's something I haven't used yet, the pendulum. I want to try that.
Yeah, I've used that before. That's pretty interesting. Um, yeah, I definitely want a REM pod. I definitely would like to at some point get one of the Ovilus devices.
Yeah, those
Like
things are expensive too. Yeah.
they are expensive. I would love to get one though, but I only want the one that doesn't work off an algorithm. There's no algorithm involved. Because when you get algorithms involved, then obviously there's kind of a opportunity for it to be just, fallible.
Right.
If it's just through environmental manipulation, then there's no way and out, it has to be something manipulating it to pick a word,
Right.
right? So, but yeah, I'm excited. I supposed to go. I've said this probably 10 times in the last 4 months, and every time it gets just canceled. So I'm afraid to even say it out loud, but I'm gonna. Supposed to go next week to back to the Bridgewater Triangle. I am going to be doing an SD session when I'm there for sure.
Mm.
And then, probably try a bunch of other stuff also. We're going to go day and night. And then next weekend, Lucci's coming down here. We're going to pick up the trail cameras we left where we found those impressions when we were out about a month ago. And then we're going to Hell Hollow for the night. That's where I saw that crazy orb during the day. It's considered the most haunted forest in Connecticut. So
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see.
That'll work.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
One thing about the Etsy section, you have to have somebody with you. You can't do it alone.
No, I will. I will. Brian's gonna be there, and then I'm trying to get Phil to come out. Me and Phil have been talking. I don't know if you guys remember Phil. Exploring with Phil, really nice guy. The guy with the beard does a lot of work in the Triangle. Me and him have been talking about getting together soon, and we're gonna plan something. I'd love for him to come out with us, but Brian's gonna be there, so he'll be able to ask the questions, and then possibly his friend might come. Fingers crossed, his friend. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud to anybody because she is very, very guarded about her stuff. So I'm not going to share too much until Brian gives me the okay. But I really hope she comes. I really hope she comes. Be very interesting. But yeah, so there's a lot of plans. Those guys, Alex is in Pennsylvania right now. Lucci's probably going to get there around midnight, I'd imagine. He left after work. So it's about 6 hours. So yeah, probably get there around midnight. Brian's, I don't know if he's there or if he's going down in the next couple of days. I was supposed to be there, but I just couldn't do it. I just didn't, again, 6 hour drive one way. For the Prius, it's not that there's anything wrong with the car, but she's a 2009, man. It's not like she's a new car. She's got 207,000 miles on her, which I guess for a Prius is not that bad because half of those miles are essentially electric and the other half are on the motor.
Right.
But still, I get nervous driving that far away in that car. So I was like, well, if I'm going to go, and there's nowhere for me to stay in that thing if we got bad weather, which there's bad weather there right now. So if I was going to go, I was going to rent a car, which, just would cost too much. I just couldn't do it. So I was upset. I wanted to go down for Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday, and I can't do it. Really bummed. really bummed. I've not ever been to Pennsylvania to do any of this stuff, and they were going to a really cool area. So, but good on them. Alex is filming like 5 documentaries in the course of this week down there. No joke. That's not even an exaggeration. He's just a monster. He's a monster. Guy's a beast.
I see where Seth released a trailer on my 12 o'clock high. Well, not 12 o'clock high, but the Lost Contact. I'm sorry, Lost Contact. And it showed us a little clip of him interviewing the Mantel brothers, and then it switched over, and all you can see is my feet and part of my legs where I'm using a metal detector at the crash site. Other than that, that's all it was. I'm supposed to get back with Seth at the Gatlinburg Bigfoot conference, so we're gonna finish up the interview there, and everything go ahead and get everything done and get that released.
Well, that's good, man. I'm excited to watch that for sure. Very excited to watch that. It'll be a good one. Yeah, only 5. Only 5. Yeah, it's Alex is doing that whole new series on what's he calling it? Lost Places, or oh crap, what's the name of it? It's like one of my best friends, and now I feel like a total dick. I think it's called
Strange
Lost
Places.
Places. That's what
Strange
it is.
Places, yeah.
Strange Places. Yes. So he's doing that whole thing. He's down there filming some weird, crazy tunnel, I think, and then maybe a mine, the Bigfoot stuff, and then I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to say this shit. I don't know. Keep my mouth shut. I didn't sign an NDA though. No, I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. I apologize. But anyway, what else you got going on?
That's about it. I mean,
that's it. Yeah.
That's it. That's about it. Just to do a little building around the house and getting a few things done. And before I forget about it, if you have any animals outside, protect them. Don't let them look up at this eclipse.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you have any animals, bring them inside or put them up at least till the eclipse is over.
This is what I hate, man. I can't, with the cats that I take care of out there, the strays, the ferals, like I can't force them in. There's no place where I can force them to go. Thankfully, I don't think many of them sit there looking up at the sky too
Right,
often.
exactly. I don't think a cat would be too big of a worry. I think more of a dog, I think, would be.
Yeah, dog would be silly just going, oh, what's that thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely take them inside. Definitely. I know they're closing schools because of people. There's going to be a lot of traffic and people coming into certain towns. And then when I worked at the place that I worked at during the 2017 one, we had people with developmental disabilities, and you couldn't tell them not to look up in the sky. They just, they don't comprehend it. So we had to close early and get them out of there just so they didn't blind themselves or whatever. Yeah.
We had a couple that showed up at the last eclipse, pull up in the yard. Wonder if they could park up there in the field and watch it. I said, sure. So we ended up, they were going to sit there in the car and watch it. I thought, I got a couple extra lounge chairs, so I carried a couple of chairs up there to them, and then ended up carrying them a couple of drinks up there, maybe, and so they had a good time.
Well, that's nice of you. Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
They sent me a thank you card later on for my hospitality.
I would have done the same thing, though. Why not? What the hell? No. It's interesting for sure. My whole plan since I heard about it was to be out in the woods doing something. So, Octo, keep me posted on on your plan, because that sounds like a pretty cool area to go to during something like this. I might want to join you. That sounds like a really good idea, actually. And then I'd have a partner to do something with, which would be friggin' awesome instead of doing it alone. Yep. Anyway. Well, I think that's going to be it for me tonight, man. I'm tired. I slept like doo-doo last night. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since lunch. And yeah. Yeah. You good?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. You good? I'm good.
Get off here and get you some rest, get some sleep.
About to go have a bowl of Fruity Pebbles. Then I'm gonna come back down here and I'm gonna try to go to bed probably. I'm so tired. I don't know if you guys could tell, like in my voice tonight, but I am just wiped, totally wiped. So I apologize, but I fell asleep last night at like 3, woke up at 6, just terrible. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, guys. I know there's a Hellbent Holler special on, which is I'm gonna go watch actually
Yeah,
after this.
me too.
And support our good buddies over there. And I thank you guys who are here for tuning in. And
Yeah, thank
keep
y'all.
your
Y'all have a
eyes
good
open
night.
for this weekend. I don't know where I'll be or what I'll be doing, but I'll be doing something because I just can't sit in this house, you know, bored to death all the time.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
go,
me. That's me. I can't.
yeah, I'll go stir some shit up somewhere.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, and yes, I forgot to answer your question, dude. Yes, I know who Chris Bledsoe is. Crazy story. You ever hear that story, Dewey?
Uh-uh.
The burning bush. Guy had a like burning bush on his property and like just all kinds of crazy, out of this world, potential UFO paranormal shit. I mean, like
Wow.
FBI went there and investigated, I believe. This is a crazy story, man. It's insane. And I believe most of it's been verified by like some real outside sources too. So if you ever get a chance and you're bored, look into that.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Cool stuff. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you this weekend.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Have a good night and be careful. Watch the storms.
Yes, watch the storms.